Former National Security Advisor John Bolton guided the Trump administration through some of the most difficult foreign policy decisions. Bolton is known for his candor, but clashes over policy and style eventually led to his termination by then President Trump. In September 2019, Mr. Trump fired Bolton via Twitter. I sat down with the former UN ambassador who worked directly with White House counsel Pat Cipollone, who is now facing a congressional subpoena. Bolton has surprising insights into Congresswoman Liz Cheney's political future and whether former President Trump will run in 2024. You work directly with the White House counsel. What should people know about Pat Cipollone?
Well, I think he's a very professional lawyer. I think he understood many of the complexities of being in the Trump White House. It's almost an impossible job for any lawyer given Trump's behavior.
Do you expect Pat Cipollone to testify to the January 6th investigation?
I think he should testify. I'm a great believer in the prerogatives of the executive branch, including executive privilege. But when we're in a situation like we're in now with potential criminal liability, I think he would be well advised to say what he believes he can say consistent with that privilege to the committee.
Were there times that you wish Pat Cipollone had been more forceful with President Trump?
Yeah, yes, I do. I saw a lot of behavior in the Trump administration by the president himself dealing with international matters. I wrote about in the book that I thought really were very, very close to lines that the president shouldn't cross. And I tried not to do everybody else's job. I had my own job to do. I briefed Attorney General Barr at one point. I briefed Pat Cipollone on it, but I left under difficult circumstances before a lot of this came to fruition.
Let's talk a little bit more about a specific meeting you had with Pat Cipollone. Did you warn him about President Trump's behavior?
Yes, I did, in connection, for example, with Halkbank, a Turkish bank that President Erdogan of Turkey wanted dropped, and which the president all but agreed to do, as he said, once I got my guys into the Southern District of New York. It struck me as being very, very close to manipulation of the legal process, and I was very worried about that and a number of other things that arose during the course of my tenure.
White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson testified that White House counsel Pat Cipollone said, "We're going to get charged with every crime possible if Trump goes to the Capitol." Based on your experience, does that testimony ring true?
Yeah, I think Pat's perfectly capable of saying that. Like all of us who worked closely with the president for some period of time, you know you're going to get a very negative reaction when the president didn't hear what he wanted to hear. But I think Cipollone was fully capable of telling him, you're crossing the line.
Did you hear anything in White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony that felt problematic?
Well, I thought there were things that she was obviously repeating as hearsay. Nothing wrong with that. She wasn't there firsthand.
You're talking about the limousine episode.
Well, that's one good example. And I think it's important for the committee to hear these things if they want to go into it. But I also think it's important that we get all the sides here. Personally, I would have preferred a joint House-Senate 50-50 Republican-Democratic committee to go into this. We don't have that now. We have what we have. But I think this committee as well should be open to having dissenting points of view. It won't weaken their case if their case is as strong as it looks.
President Trump says the White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson, and these are his words, are living in a fantasy land. Is she credible?
Well, I can only tell by my own observation of her. I don't think I ever met her in the White House. I think she gave very calm and consistent testimony. And look, in terms of the 2020 election and January the 6th, it's Donald Trump who's living in fantasy land.
Based on the testimony and your own personal experience in the White House, do you believe former President Trump crossed the line into criminal activity?
Well, I think it's entirely possible in connection with what happened in the preparation for January the 6th. I don't think the evidence is there yet. I think it's a mistake to think that Trump was a threat to democracy, because I don't think he's smart enough to be. But he caused enormous damage to the country, and I think it's his conduct warrants scrutiny, and it now warrants scrutiny for the potential of further obstruction of justice, of witness tampering. These are very serious charges, and I just hope the committee doesn't interfere with the Justice Department's investigation of that point.
How will history judge Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney?
Well, I think she's a hero, and I think she put her own political career at risk. I don't know what will turn out in her reelection effort. I certainly hope that she's reelected. I've contributed through my PAC to her campaign. I worked with her father, so I feel this personally. And it may well be that her performance is such she should consider running for president herself.
Do you think President Trump will seek the Republican nomination for 2024?
I do not think he will run in 2024. I think he knows he lost in 2020. He'll never admit it because he's got such a good con game going against his own supporters. He fears losing in 2024. He hates being known as a loser. He'll talk about it incessantly. He may even announce he's running, but when it comes right down to it, he won't run.
And you can watch more of our interview with former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton on CBSNews.com.